Everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, joined by Paul F. Villarreal by phone. Oh my goodness, there is a lot to talk about here. There is a lot to talk about right now. I can't. We have to really chop it up. Okay, there's breaking news via the Miami Herald, and I don't know how long we're gonna go on this. I will say, well, I'm jumping ahead. But I hate to say that I told you so, Paul, but I told you so. One of my friends texted me before I went on the air here. And what I'm going to say about this, quote, take credit for calling it. You were the first and only. Now, I don't know about that. I think I definitely was early. And again, I want to say this. These are reports. These are allegations. These are reports in the newspaper. I'm not alleging anything. We're discussing things. I have questions. I have concerns. Okay. I am rocking my How Can I Help Miami Tech shirt right here. Okay. We are gonna rock that. And listen, this is no diss. We love the entrepreneurs. We love the startup people. We want to see a legit. Let me rephrase that. I would love to see South Florida become a tech hub. There's a lot of positive that has happened. I mean, tremendous promotional stuff. There's a lot of people that are moving here and stuff. But I always had concerns. I was in Silicon Valley. You know that. I did some, when I was there and at the level that I was at, I did some serious stuff at Silicon Valley, and I was associated with and learned from like the biggest names, some of the biggest names anyway. And when I saw this stuff with Miami Tech, I didn't understand how you had ostensibly a mayor leading the movement. Like, it was just very strange. There's a lot of things that were strange associated with it. And there was all these reports where he might run for a higher office, and he eventually did. When it became a presidential candidate, I think still listed on his LinkedIn thing as he's running for president. I didn't know he's still running for president. I thought but I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But let's get to the news. There's so much to talk about here. This isn't going to be the greatest show in terms of broadcast ability, but because there's just so much news here. But let's see what we can kind of sort out here, okay? And this is from, let's get it right here, players. Let's get it right here. Hold on. I've got so many different articles opened up here. I mean, and you have to understand, Mayor Suarez was someone that was on CNBC. He was on the shows. He was on Fox. He was touted as possibly being vetted by, a presidential candidate, Nikki Haley. And now people like Vivek Ramaswamy has a lot of questions about Nikki Haley. And Vivek Ramaswamy held up a sign saying Nikki Haley equals corrupt. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that's what Vivek Ramaswamy did in a debate, on the debate stage. Now, here's the news. Okay. This is from Yahoo News via the Miami Herald. The Miami Herald broke this. Sarah Blasky, Joey Fletchus, Alex Harris, and Tess Risky. Headline, Miami Mayor Headline, quote, Miami Mayor pushed for no bid city contract benefiting his private employer's partner. Now, we're going to get into this. This is breaking today. It's breaking this morning. We're going to get into this. But before I get into this, actually, let me just say this. So there's things here about, quote, with a firm paying the mayor $20,000 a month salary. It's the company, quote, the software company N0 dash and the behind the closed door discussions involving partnership with Suarez's private employer, Reed Divider, unquote. And it goes on about this type of stuff. Apparently, like one of these things, I think, has something to do with crypto. I'll put a link in the video description on YouTube to the article here in Yahoo News. And I think this N0 was some kind of like climate tech monitoring emissions or something like that. I'm going to try to find it. It's buried down in here. And, this raises serious question. Now, the other thing is that, like, here's someone, and we talked about this before. First of all, I've been talking about this for a long time. You can see video after video after video that I've done years ago, okay? And I had people say, oh, John, you're a hater. Oh, John. Dude, I've met Michael Moritz. I've said, I don't want to make this a JDV resume drop or pat on the back or anything like that. But, dude, I've got the arrows in the back from being a pioneer and I just try to speak truth, dude. I just try to speak truth to power, if you will, truth, if you will. I want to see a real tech hub. And full disclosure, I have a picture of Mayor Suarez. I try to get involved in Miami Tech. I sent an email to Safe Issoff. I've sent an email to John Wensveen. I've toured the Levon Center for Innovation. I've talked to Louis Gazzetto. I'm not saying anyone's involved in this story. And the story is what is story. I'm just saying that, like, I tried to get involved and help Miami Tech. I care about the people of Florida and South Florida. Personally self-interested. I'd love to see technology here. I'd love to see venture capital here, and a lot's coming. And listen, tremendous job. I have to say, I mean, I gotta give him a hand. Great job on the promotional aspect. Great job on the promotional aspect. Very successful with that. But then we saw stuff like capital of capital, and there just seemed to me like maybe it was my misperception, but it just seemed like there was just this. I don't know if the word is arrogant. I don't know what the right word is, but it was almost like, oh yeah, we're going to beat everyone. Silicon Valley. This is my misperception, maybe my personal opinion, but it was almost like we're going to do it immediately. It's the narrative, and it's so easy. And then we had the Cafecito talks and all this type of stuff. And it was like, we're just going to snap our fingers and it's all good. And even though nobody here has had, major experience at a Silicon Valley venture capital firm that I knew of anyway, or tech company, or fill in the blank, but here we go. And I was always very cautious and nervous about, like, having political people involved in leading this movement. And so you had Mayor Suarez, who was the part-time mayor, and a part-time mayor, that alone has its own, potential issues, in my opinion. Okay. And then you had Saif Issoff, who was appointed, and I'm not saying he has anything to do with I'm not alleging anything. I'm just reading this. I'm just trying to give my opinion, stuff like that, as a talk show host, who was appointed, I believe, if I go to this right, let me see this here. This is it. Yeah, this is on a post from Saif Issoff's X, formerly Twitter, at Safe 305. Honored to assist you in quote. Honored to assist you in this important Venture Miami work, and it has a post from February 11th, 2021. Okay, from Mayor Francis Suarez. Quote: I'd like to introduce Venture Miami, and you have a picture right there. City of Miami, Florida, and underneath Venture Miami, and that all that, and he has a "How can I help" T-shirt, same T-shirt, similar T. Not this isn't the exact T-shirt, but this is he's got his, I've got mine. T-shirt right here. How can I help? I'd like to introduce, quote, I'd like to introduce Venture Miami, the latest addition to my team and the group that will steer the course of the Miami tech movement. At the helm, I appointed at Safe 305, Saif Issoff, as the senior advisor for innovation and technology to lead this team and turn ideas into action. All right. So we got that there. Okay. Now, and this is the thing, like, if you take the credit, you got to take the blame in everything in life, right? I mean, like it can't be a one-way type of situation. And I don't know. I mean, maybe, and again, I'm not saying anybody else has anything to do with any of this. I don't know about these allegations, these report. I'm just saying there is a report out there in the Miami Herald today. And a lot of these people have there's a lot of things to say. Like, I just want to know, like, from the, people around Venture Miami, people, maybe some of what about Refresh Miami that covers Nancy Dahlberg, that, covers the breaking news, and very important. It's almost like the Refresh Miami is almost like the New York Times of the tech movement in Miami, and very, seems to be, very rah-rah in my opinion. But what about this? Because this goes to the heart. I mean, if this is true, this goes to the heart of a lot of situations, the overall, again, this is the problem. For better or for worse, a politician, Mayor Suarez, was the face of the Miami tech movement. And by his own admission here, the lieutenant almost seems like potentially, with Venture Miami anyway, let me put it that way. I'm not going to characterize it. He put in Saif Issoff to lead the Venture Miami team. Okay. So I just, and my concern was, how do you have a politician, show me anywhere else to this extent where a politician was leading a tech hub, the formation of a tech hub or a tech movement, while still being mayor or whatever like that. I don't get it. Like I know Mayor Jane Castor down here in Tampa, like she'll go to events and do and kind of encourage that, encourages commerce. That's great. But you don't hear of her leading the movement or consulting for tech companies and stuff like that. And here's the other thing. This isn't the first article, right? This isn't the first allegation out there. All right. We have here NBC 6 South Florida, and this is December 19th, 2023. Headline, quote, by Steve Litz. Mayor Miami Francis Suarez addresses Saudi Arabia controversy, calls to resign. Okay, I mean, a sub-headline, newly elected Miami City Commissioner Damian Pardo is calling for the mayor to resign. And basically saying like, quote, whether he needs to register as a foreign agent. Huh. And so there's different things in here. I don't know. I don't know whether this is just internal political squabbling or whatever, but now here we go with this. Okay. And, excuse me, quote, the Herald, this from Miami Herald published reports that quote Suarez has quietly spent weeks in Saudi Arabia over several recent trips as he travels to the region as a private attorney. And then it went on that, quote, the Suarez's mayoral office made the summit happen, quote, with the help of a handful of city staffers and Suarez's longtime political fundraiser, unquote. It reported that, and the quote's continuing here, but this is the quote within the quote. It reported that the summit, quote, is caught up in an ongoing congressional investigation into how Saudi Arabia has bought its way into popular U.S. institutions, unquote. And it goes on. And I don't know, I have no idea, but that's another report. Okay, I have no idea, but that's another report. And then we have yet another report. Okay. Which, let me see this. I've got so many different things open up. Okay, this is CBS News Miami. Headline, and May 25th, 2023. A lot of these things are coming out in the last year or so, right? Reports. Again, I'm not alleging anything. Quote, Mayor Miami Francis Suarez not responding to serious allegations. Okay, now here's another one. Quote, this is the headline. The two-term mayor, Mayor Francis Suarez, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, is under scrutiny over a report by the Miami Herald. Miami Herald's doing some serious reporting here. Okay, let me reload that again. The quote. So that was my little editorializing there. Quote: the two-term Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is under scrutiny over a report by the Miami Herald alleging he was paid thousands of dollars for works as a consultant for a developer building a project in city limits, unquote. Wow. I mean, that's three reports right there. And then here we go, quote, including $10,000 monthly payments to Francis Suarez for quote unquote unknown services without any written agreement, unquote. So here, this is in May 25th, 2023, we've got an allegation about a $10,000 a month potential consulting situation with Mayor Suarez. This is reported by the Miami Herald and then re-reported by CBS News Miami. Then today, we've got this allegation of a $20,000 a month. Now, if you look at the financial, Mayor Suarez ran for president. Okay. And a lot of the financial disclosures came out. And on our previous show, I talked about how his net worth has exploded, you know what I mean, in the recent years. Maybe kind of similar to Nikki Haley's, whose net worth went from, Vivek and others have talked about, and even that fact checked in and like, yeah, okay, her money went up. She was like, went from whatever she had. I mean, there's different reports of what the net worth was, but now it's like, millions and millions of dollars. I think I've seen something like $8 million within a few short years. And then people were saying, well, why is she dropping out of this race when there doesn't seem to be a path to win? And then you see articles like this and you see reports like this, and then you just have to think about what's going on. And I don't want to name names, but a good contact of mine who's deep in the tech sector, who has lived in Miami and stuff like that. I won't go any farther than that. I said, yeah, I tried to get a meeting. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. Just got the hand punked out, stonewalled, in their opinion. So we've got 3 different articles right here in the last year talking about different things about this. Now, that's not even to mention, but we'll just quickly touch on it. Let's not forget FTX. Okay, FTX literally. So you talk about what's the face of the Miami tech movement? What do people think about? And again, right or wrong, what do people think about? People think about Mayor Suarez and cryptocurrency. That's what they think about, right? I mean, let me bring in Paul for real quick, and I'm gonna hit on this in a second. Paul, would you say that's right or wrong? Am I right in that, wrong in that assessment?
Yeah, look, I think you're right about a lot of this, and most of it, pretty much all of it. Look, we've talked about this subject for years. As I've told you, as somebody who is outside of the situation in terms of I don't live down there, and never lived down there. I always thought that the Miami tech hype and promotion was overstated. Always. It never seemed believable to me. And now we're finding out that it wasn't believable, whether it's FTX or kind of the collapse of the supposed capital of capital and so forth. None of it seems to have materialized. And one of the things that I agree with about the person who wrote you and said
well, let me sorry, not to interrupt you, but let me stop you there. Listen, there's a lot of firms that moved in here. There's a lot of things that happened. There's a lot of money that moved down here. There was a lot of activity. The promotional aspect was phenomenal. It really was. And I got to give credit where credit's due. There's a lot of people, I don't want to name names and everything, but there's a lot of people. I will say this, and again, there's other people in other institutions. I'll still keep it generic because of the nature of this story, right? That happened today. That are, I don't know them. I've maybe met them, maybe shaking hands, maybe seen them from far, maybe exchanging email, who knows? But they seem to me to be like they're hardworking. They're trying to do some good stuff. I know the entrepreneurs are trying to do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that are swept up into this, and the Miami tech movement is swept up into this by no fault of their own, if you will, and really don't have anything to do with the story. But that's why you do not have a politician leading a tech hub. These are the things that can happen and stuff like that, potentially, allegedly. And, but there's also a lot of problems that came with this too. Increased traffic, increased rents, housing prices going up, people getting costed out, unaffordability, the traffic and all these, and then also local people not being able to get, yes, maybe the companies get here, but the local people couldn't get those jobs or had a hard time. So there's a lot of other things. And the criticism always was there, Paul, and I'll turn it right back over to you. That, okay, even if this is all great, even if this is all happening, even if all these firms are moving out, well, guess what? I can't afford to live where I grew up at anymore. I can't get to work now because it takes so long. I can't get my kids in that private school because, all the slots are taken and stuff like that. And I can't even get a job here. And so how does it benefit me? So a lot of people are saying that, let's say everything else was perfect. Is this another politician? And this is maybe some of the criticisms of Nikki Haley that are just, and also, Langford and some of the other people, the border deal. I don't want to get too many topics in the mix here, but is this another, as Vivek would say, a super PAC puppet that is basically selling out the working class, the middle class, the local people, for their own benefit or the benefit of the donors and stuff like that? And then you see a story like this or stories like this, and you say, oh my goodness, how do you think about this? Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, I just got muted there.
You're fine. Go.
So, again, here's the deal from my perspective, everything you said. What you did, and what was said to whoever it is that texted you or whatever, was you sensed or wanted to look at beyond the facade of what was being presented. Instead of just the happy talk and all the other stuff, you actually were looking at this. And as you mentioned, you were trying to kind of,
or how can I get paid? How can I personally benefit? Immediately, like me, like I can read people and things immediately, very, very quickly. I'm very, very insightful. I am a super genius, and I like to do things the right way. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you were actually looking at this, and the thing is that you came from Silicon Valley, So you knew how this was done when it was done properly and when it was done well. And so you had a reference point, whereas I know that you would talk with people down in the Miami area and Broward, and who would be like when you would try to bring up kind of like compare what was happening there to Silicon Valley, they'd almost dismiss you. Like, well, Silicon Valley. Like, well, no, you're like, that's the most successful place in the world doing this.
I had someone, let me just say this to support exactly what you said, and I'll zip it. I had someone tell me, in my opinion, my recollection, why do you keep bringing up Silicon Valley? What?
Right.
That's like saying, why do you keep bringing up Tom Brady as a quarterback? I mean, like, what are you talking about? Go ahead.
It's exactly what I'm saying here. And again, I know Silicon Valley because I worked with you out there. I know what it is about. I know how it goes. And so, just like you said, I mean, just that thought process to me is off. And so, again, you were trying to get involved in this. So you were kind of, as you mentioned, you were kind of walking, kind of hitting the wall in trying to do some of this and trying to deal with some of this. But as that other person texted, you said is you were on this quicker than anybody I know of. Now, again, I admittedly, I'm not down there. I wasn't part of this, and so I don't know every single thing. But I didn't hear anybody in the national media, in the local media, anyone asking the types of questions that you were asking. In fact, it was the opposite, which was the cheerleading and it's so great and capital of capital and all of that stuff. Whereas you started to see, in my opinion, kind of the cracks in the facade that nobody else could see or wanted to think about.
I will say this: famous celebrity. How about this? Independent filmmaker Billy Corbin has a Twitter feed called Because Miami. Yeah. He's kind of, I don't want to mischaracterize it, but I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he's a fan of Suarez, and maybe he's kind of to use Wall Street parlance, maybe a perma bear in my opinion, potentially. I don't follow all the stuff on Suarez, and he's constantly outlining stuff on Suarez, but in a very general, broad perspective, whereas I was specifically looking at and trying to be fair and in my opinion in analyzing this specific thing in relation to Miami Tech and Suarez and his team, the way the whole thing was promoted and kind of put together and all that type of stuff. So on this specific subject, I agree with you. I've been down here. I've been looking at stuff. I don't know. I think I was the first, and I think I was the earliest. I could be wrong, but I think of a major, someone that has a radio show, someone that had a radio show in Miami, someone that has done, that has this kind of background and stuff like that. You don't know what you don't know, and there's always stuff out there and whatever. And I'm not saying, but I definitely was early, possibly the first on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you about Billy Corbin. He has been on this for a long time. Now, I don't know Billy Corbin's background. I don't know if he worked in Silicon Valley like you did, but you're right. He did have a lot of good information, and we give him credit. But you're certainly one of the earliest.
So Billy Corbin made a film, a relatively known film called Cocaine Cowboys. It was a documentary about some of the drug running and Miami and stuff. I've only watched snippets of this, whatever. But anyway, go ahead, Paul.
So I think, and again, we can't. I want to paint everybody with the same brush here because it's not.
We're definitely not doing that. We're definitely not doing it. We're not making any generalizations, anything like that. We're peace, love, freedom, opportunity, equality for everyone. Go ahead.
However, let me just say this. We saw the heights that FTX hit. We saw them that they were the name
there
of
you
the
go.
Miami
Let's talk about FTX. Go ahead.
And how great they were and how incredible and breakthrough
they were on the Miami. They're on the Miami Heat arena. They were the name on the Miami Heat arena. When you're flying in to Miami Airport and maybe you see it from the plane, or you're driving down, you're getting ready to go to South Beach or whatever. You're right by American Airlines. You're at the Miami FTX arena. And in fact, I'll say this, and I'll turn right back over to you. Let me just get this quote, because this is a key quote here. This is a key quote. Hold on. I've got so many different things opened up here. It's not even funny. And here's a headline from Bloomberg, right? By Jessica Carl. Quote, Miami's mayor got crypto rich while his voters got candy crushed. And it talked about, FTX and some different things, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that one did. And then we had another one here by Truthout, Thomas Kennedy, Truthout, quote, Miami's mayor went all in on cryptocurrency. His constituents suffered, and talked about how Miami coin lost 99% of its value. That's insane. And then we have this one right here on FTX, on how that went down, but somewhere in there, I'll zip it, but I'll come back in as soon as I find this quote about what Suarez said about FTX, because it's a key situation. And this is the thing, like, here's the deal. I don't expect, and this is why this is dangerous, in my opinion, in general, why you can't have politicians and people without experience, leading these, tech or venture movements. Venture capital and early stage companies are by nature risky, with the big reward. Risk and reward go together. Hello. Okay. So when you have outsized rewards, you have outsized risk. When you do not have specific expertise to talk about being champion Miami coin and cryptocurrency and FTX and stuff like that, potentially, allegedly, and I'll try to get to the quotes here. That's a dangerous thing for the constituents and stuff. Like, what are you doing, Paul? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, right. And so again, coming back to the FTX thing for an analogy here is, FTX was incredible, amazing, great, the pinnacle of Miami tech success, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now look where they are. And again, I'm not saying that everybody else is in the same boat as FTX or has the same practices or anything like that. But I think FTX, in my opinion, is emblematic of what Miami tech was supposed to be. And then we saw what FTX really was. And so again,
and this is here from Investopedia, real quick. Investopedia, quote, the bankruptcy filings indicate FTX had assets and liabilities in the range of $10 to $50 billion. You think of that. You think of that right there. And I also throw this on. This story that they're talking about is allegedly involving a clean tech company. And I mean, like apparently the story was talking about how the city already had these services, an employee was doing it. I mean, how much other, clean tech and people, this is why President Trump's one of his big criticisms of the and on the Republican Party on the right of AOC's Green New Deal or Bidenomics, stuff like that, is how much of this is real and how much what, in other words, there's a lot. Listen, I'm saying like three things at once. Everybody's for a clean environment. In other words, how many of these different causes, fill in the blank? Is it Ukraine? Is it clean energy? Is it whatever? How many of these causes, have money that somehow gets diverted into, to politicians or wherever else? You know what I'm saying? Like, Paul, I mean, there's so many of these causes that sometimes get hijacked by anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of fumbling around here a little bit, but I'm going to try to find this quote that Suarez said about FTX. Keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, that's, like I said, is from somebody, from looking out from a vantage point from afar. This is kind of how I ended up seeing all of this. And, you would talk to me about stuff and tell me, look, I'm encountering this and I'm not sure about this entity or whatever. We would talk about people having tech meetups at bars. I mean, that's not serious.
Yeah.
They had pitch
competitions in nightclubs.
It'd be like
multiple. Go ahead.
Okay, it's one thing to have like you and I would go to E3 and our GDC out in Silicon Valley, and okay, you would hang out at night to socialize. You didn't have a pitch meeting at a nightclub. I mean, that's absurd. And so it's. I always looked at this as the not ready for prime time crew, and you were talking about all of this years ago. And I think people, just my own personal opinion, I think people got caught up in the COVID era kind of talk about what Miami Tech was going to become. And, I didn't get caught up in that because I heard what you were saying. And what you were saying made a lot of sense. And I just could see beyond the veneer of it all because you did. And so, yeah, I completely agree with all this. And unfortunately, I'm not surprised by what I'm hearing with all of this recent news. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, and I found something over here, and this is in Truth Out. And listen, I'm not saying I subscribe to this or whatever, but or condone what's being said or anything like that. But it is a I'll just read the quote right here. Well, yeah, I don't know. No, I'm going to leave that alone. I'll put a link in the description and I'll let you read that about Suarez and Bankman-Fried. But I will say this part, in quote, during the interview, Bankman-Fried asked how, but they basically, quote, while on the Decrypt Media podcast with Bankman-Fried, Suarez, and then ... it goes on. I'll let you read that on your own, and I'll put the link in the description on YouTube, and maybe in LinkedIn as well. And then it goes on, quote, during the interview, Bankman-Fried was asked how FTX could possibly and reasonably be given a 19-year contract to the naming rights for the arena where the Miami Heat play. Suarez himself wasn't a direct decision maker in the deal, as blah blah blah, and it goes on that. And it's just quote, Suarez was completely distracted by his phone the whole time and looked up just at the end to give a double thumbs up. It was truly beyond parody, unquote. I mean, quote, this is not the only time that Suarez propped up with saying Bankman-Fried. The New York Times documented several instances in which Suarez showered the disgraced former billionaire with sycophantic praise in efforts to further bring FTX investments to Miami. And it just goes on and on and on. And it just, it's just really, really, quote, Bankman-Fried, talking about how Bankman-Fried tweeted something like that, how he wanted to, quote unquote, bring peace and prosperity to Miami residents, and then Suarez tweeted back, quote, overjoyed that your commitment to our community advances our efforts to be the most crypto-friendly city in the planet. All I need to do now is figure out how to put the red laser dots on my eyes, unquote. I mean, and it goes on. And then there was other things as well that I found here, and with quotes and you can look them up yourself on things that Suarez said about FTX. And again, I don't expect any politician to be an expert on any business, right? But when you're making decisions and you're lauding someone as one of the big names, faces of Miami Tech movement with this Miami Tech with the naming of the Miami Heat arena. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on there, dude. And you look at all these things, and I felt like the whole thing was very slapdash, dude. I mean, with all of it. And it was just kind of, shoot from the hip and, hey, we're so, I don't know what was going on. It just didn't make sense to me. And it was almost like the main thing was just like, it was a gold rush mentality, crypto fueled. And I just was worried that like the fundamentals were nowhere close to around the zone. And when people like me that have had expertise and have, serious contacts and want to do it right, and then like, nobody wanted to hear that. And like someone else says, and I can't remember who said this, but I borrowed it. It's not so much, how can I help, right? The feeling was more like, what do you bring? And it just was crazy. And, it just felt, Paul, like a very inside game to me. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying the feel of it. It almost felt like, I was trying to crash a party I wasn't invited to. And look, it felt that way very much with John Wensveen and the whole, Lavon Center at Nova Southeastern as well. I went there to talk to those people, and I could have helped that place out insanely, in my opinion. And I was a resident, a Broward County resident right there. Like, that's part of the mission. That's part of the mission of Nova, of the Lavon Center. Public, private, this and that, whatever. And it was just like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's given the hand. And it's like, okay, all right, cool. We don't need you. We'll take this other person that has, in my opinion, way less experience in the Valley and stuff like that. Way less experience eventually. But hey, whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. God bless you. Good luck. How many wins? How many wins have come out of the Lavon Center? How many companies have gone public? How many companies have been funded? How many jobs have been created? There's been I hear a bunch of talk. How many? Where's my crickets?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there's some, and I hope there's some. And I'm not saying, and listen, I'm not saying it's like their fault or anything like that. I mean, look, they got a nice facility. They have a nice facility. I applaud them for the effort. I applaud, Mr. Lavon for the philanthropy. Oh my gosh, for the charity, right? I feel like Elmer Fudd now, and philanthropy. I applaud that, and no one would confuse Broward County with Palo Alto, okay? Or Nova with Stanford, or Nova with Berkeley, or FIU with, MIT or whatever. That's fine. So I'm not saying it's their fault. And they're doing things. But here's what I don't like. I don't like to see Wensveen like who's a hockey, apparently, I don't know. I think he likes hockey, like, oh, I'm at the Florida Panthers and I'm golfing, and whoa, bro, is it about you or is it about the entrepreneurs? Is it about you or is it about doing service, stuff like that? But listen, they're trying, but this is the thing. And I'm not saying that it's like, and this is the other thing, hey, 9-5, it's not just Miami Tech, it's the South Florida area. It's 305-954-561. Okay, so do you have comments on this? Because you shared a TEDx stage, with Mayor Suarez, and so you go to Emerge Americas and everything like that, and lots. I'm just saying, like, and I'm not saying anyone has anything of responsibility or anyone knows it. I'm not alleging anything. What I'm saying is leaders have to lead. And I'm not saying it's your fault. You're an incubator. What that's what you are. Okay, you have this and you have that and you have facilities there. Fantastic. But ultimately, you're not the star. The companies are the star. Don't get it twisted. This is the problem. Is that the enablers and the professional services and the politicians try to become the stars. You're not the stars in a tech hub. The entrepreneurs and the companies and technologies are the stars. Then maybe the venture capitalists. Then everybody else. Unless you're like some super hot shot incubator venture studio with a massive record, like, way back in the day, Idea Lab, or now Y Combinator or something like that. Like, you're not the star, dude. And I don't care about that. It's not about being a hater. The problem of it is, Paul, is when you put that image out there, then it's almost like saying, like, you know what to do. I would hear these things from when we've reverse engineered the entrepreneurial journeys. Really? That makes it seem like you know how to make it right and be successful. No one else is done it. And the world's first theme park. Wait. Are we building companies or are we having fun? I don't go to Disneyland to build a company, dude. Unless it's related to Disney or Disney World. You know what I mean? Like I don't get this. The message then becomes, it becomes more hype than real to me. Or it becomes like, are you saying that somehow you can impart this crazy amount of value? How? From what? from the space, a collision center for entrepreneurs. Listen, you got to market. I'm all about marketing. I love it. I'm down with it and everything like that. It's great to have that kind of opportunity there for people, but you just got to be realistic about it. That doesn't dude, being an entrepreneur is hard. It was almost like reminding me of the real estate crash in 2008, Paul, where everybody thought they could be a real estate investor. And not unlike some of the things that are happening now. Everybody thought they could be an entrepreneur. Everybody was a founder. Everybody was on the board, this and that, whatever, or venture capitalists. Like, dude, this is hard stuff. I'm not saying everything's about going to school and everything like that, but there's a reason why you do that, because you can have the best and the brightest and just fail miserably. Look at the percentages. Look at the percentages out there of how many VCs fail and how many funds fail. I mean, it's really high, and it's about to get higher. So when you just flex like, oh, we're the greatest, and here we go, and we reverse engineered it. We forget Silicon Valley and forget New York City and forget Boston and forget all those other places. We figured it out. We just started, but we figured it out. We reversed engineered. Okay. Huh. Are you going to talk to these people that are like 10, 20-year vets that have been, oh, no. We got our own people. Okay. And what have they done? Well, they're just, okay. I got it. That's how it went, in my opinion. So the more I saw of that, and the more I saw the same people going to the same events, Refresh Miami covering, these people, and Wensveen on the same stage as Suarez, and now they're both going to Emerge Americas, and I think Suarez was on the board of Emerge Americas, and then they were going to do this event, and then Venture Miami, and you got Safis off over here, and then he's over here. Okay. It just seemed like a real little clique, dude. If for a big city, it seemed really small in terms of the people that were in the mix, and people were trying to get things done. And that's the thing. Like, you have to. And here's the thing: for the people pushing crypto, you got to decentralize this stuff. And I'm not saying Wednesday anyone in particular. I'm just saying in general, right? And so that's just not how the Valley went. That's not how the Valley operated. That's not how it got big. That's not how New York City really has built their stuff. And that's why we talked about this off air, Paul. That's one of the problems when I was in Johns Hopkins. Love Johns Hopkins, go Blue Jays, go Bears, Cal. And we were you look at that, you look at how successful Berkeley has been. I think Berkeley has more like founders or more successful startups than any other university. And people think that Berkeley's liberal, but they figure out how to do it, how to make it happen. I'm a conservative. I went there, and I think, and that was the thing. Like you see these things in the news now, of some of these other Ivy League places, and Harvard's in the news and whatever like that. Like I'm as conservative libertarian as you get, and I was able to. I mean, I have a lot of crazy stories that you'd imagine, but I was able to operate in Berkeley, and I was able to operate very well at Hopkins. So these are places where people might say academia is liberal, or Berkeley's the free speech movement, all that type of stuff. I was able to operate there. When you can't. Again, 50%, all these things come back together. A 50% solution is not a 100% solution. If you're saying that we're going to freeze out half our founders, and particularly when Miami Tech was having, I've talked about that too, how they missed the opportunity to have a tech hub in Florida and what it could be, especially when you had like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all this type of stuff, and Elon Musk, obviously bought X and the free speech, home place right there. There's a total miss. And you want to align with Nikki Haley over like an Elon Musk? Like, what are you doing, dude? It just makes no sense. And you have Safe. Nothing against Safe. Everyone can do or believe what they want to believe. But I think he was like, he had pictures of, would put up pictures of Obama, and I can't remember the whole, bio here. And I don't want to make it political, but it's not what you would say. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, quote, prior to FIU, Safe served as founding executive director of the AmeriCorps program, City Year Miami. Huh. Okay. Maybe, and would have I can't remember if it was Martin. I can't remember, but he had a picture with Obama and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm not in part, but maybe not exactly someone that, if you're going to launch a political career, Suarez, at the presidential level, obviously Miami level, at the presidential level on the Republican side in the era of Trump and all this type of stuff. I don't know. And then a lot of people felt like myself, like, dude, this is just more liberal tech. that was coming over here. I mean, and you look at the Twitter files and things like that. There wasn't any examination or questioning of that. What about the people that didn't want to have to deal with that? Didn't want to have to, fill in the blank, put up a Ukraine avatar or Laser Eyes avatar or a Clean Tech avatar. It was all this liberal gobbledygook that was just nonstop about diversity and equity and all this stuff. Every liberal cause you can think of was all being heavy promoted in Miami Tech. That was the deal. And where's that ended up? Not too much. Look what happened to Harvard, dude. I mean, when are people going to wake up? It's like, this is what I'm talking about. Let the tech stand on its own. Let the venture stand on its own. Let everybody involved. Let the best tech and the best minds win. We need a meritocracy, not a kleptocracy, not a who knows who. We don't need the tech hubs led by politicians, stuff like that. We need a meritocracy, dude. And that's what Elon Musk is about. That's what I'm about. That's what Paul's about. And that's what we're talking about here. So yeah, the people that were championing, yay, I know Suarez. I was appointed by Suarez. How can I help? And Venture Miami, and we're the best in capital. You don't have to talk to me. Maybe I'm nobody, some loser, whatever. I don't care. You didn't. What's your statement? Put out your own statement. What do you have to say now? Go talk to Miami Herald. Whatever you want to do. You do. It's a free country. You can talk. You can not talk. But man, you talked a lot. A lot of pictures, a lot of selfies, let me get the selfie, yeah. Right here, huh? We had a lot of selfies with Suarez, a lot of selfies with Miami Tech. Where are the selfies now? And here's my thing, Paul, and I'll get your comments, we'll wind down. I don't care who you are, right? Safe. I don't want to be, I'm not trying to make this personal. These are public figures and stuff like that, whatever. I'm just trying to be real. A John Wensveen, there's a lot of other people here that a lot of other names I can throw out. If I saw this and I called this, yes, I'm a super genius. I don't know how many people are doubting that now. Well, I have the proof anyway. It doesn't matter. But if I saw this and I called this from basically the outside, Paul, years and years and years ago, why didn't you see this? Hey, how about this? How about the reporters? How about Nancy Dahlberg? How about Riley Kaminer? I mean, props to the Miami Herald. How about the people covering the tech beat? How did you not see this and call this and have questions about this and raise these questions? Because this is a public interest and this affects the constituents and the taxpayers and the public people of here in South Florida. How have you not seen this for years and years and years? And what do you say now? And if you missed this, allegedly, I don't know, we'll see how it all goes out. I'm not alleging anything, but if these reports, have any veracity to them, where's your apology? And how do we trust you now? That's the point of this, Paul. Am I off base here, or what do you think?
No, look, and you said this, and again, just coming back to my own thoughts here. One of the final things is like, look, this is just my own opinion. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not doing anything, casting aspersions. When you told me that Suarez was on the board, one of the tech things down there, that's when my own personal red light started flashing. I'm like, wait, what? I just started having questions, real questions around that time. That just didn't seem like, it seemed like it could be problematic. Let me just put it that way. So I'm not, if I didn't know anything about this, and I read the media stuff on this, I wouldn't know anything. But because you were involved in this and you had the experience and were looking at this, I saw things in a totally different way. So I'm not surprised at how any of this has turned out so far.
Here we go. Refresh Miami. Nancy Dahlberg. Yeah, let's go. Refresh Miami. Emerge America announces Florida Funders Investment names Mayor Suarez to board. July 20th, 2021.
That was when that happened. Then I really started thinking, what's going on here. Personally, again, I'm not alleging anything.
No one's we're not alleging
like,
anything. All personal opinion only.
Yeah.
All for entertainment purposes, not cast aspersions, everything like that.
I mean, let me just put it this way. If you want to avoid the appearances of conflict, regardless of whether there is any, just the appearance, why do you do that? That's what I personally felt when I heard that story.
You're a sitting mayor who later ran for president. Go ahead, Paul.
Everything that you had said about the Miami tech scene up until that point in 2021, when that happened, it all made sense to me, or it all crystallized for me what my thoughts were. That's all I have to say.
Look, we're not haters, but here's the thing. If someone called the FTX scandal, again, allegedly, we don't. We'll see what comes out here. Although I do think that there's been some. I can't remember. I think there's been some kind of. Isn't there a court ruling on that or something like that? Anyway, if someone, depending on how it comes out, we're not alleging anything. If it's as bad as some of the reports look, if someone would have called the FTX situation a year earlier, 6 months earlier, 2 months earlier, 2 years earlier, 5 years, whatever it is, how many people would have been helped by that? Would that person be a hater, or would they have been saving innocent people billions of dollars? It's not like there aren't this isn't this has no impact here. This has impact to other people. It's not a one-way trade, if you will, to use Wall Street parlance. So when if someone company gets a no bid contract, what company lost out on that? How many jobs did they lose? How many opportunities did they lose? And on and on and on. So yeah, this is a serious situation here. But anyway, look, we wanted to update that. We don't know. We're not alleging anything. I don't want to say I told you so. But I would say go read these stories. Go read these stories, dudes. And I'm here to help. I'm actually here to help. I want to make something happen. I want to try to, and I know a lot of other people are too. And I'm not punking out Miami Tech, and I'm not punking out the people. And I will say, and I'll say it again, phenomenal job of publicity and promotion. But you have to, you've got to do the right thing, and you got to take the right steps. And building a tech hub, anything close to rivaling Silicon Valley or New York or a lot of other places, takes a lot of time, dude. It takes a lot of effort, and it's not going to be done in one term as mayor or whatever that it is. You know what I mean? It's not going to be done by tweets. Although look, he had a pretty viral tweet, with Ilya Asparov and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate because there was so much potential there, and I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I want to talk about this. Yep, I called it. I was probably first with my concerns, or certainly early. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. That's what I have to say about this. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'll try to post as many of these articles in the comment section and video description on YouTube and comment section on LinkedIn, and we'll see what people have to say about this. And we'll see if any of the people that I talked about want to talk further about it. I'm happy to come on the show, see what you have to think about it. Or just, we'll go from there. Paul, any last words?
Yeah, look, this is great. And I think that, this entire episode has certainly helped bolster your credibility in terms of just getting real facts and, of course, showing how much you know about the tech space, whether it's in Silicon Valley or in South Florida.
Okay. All right. Listen, everybody, thanks so much. Hope you're having a great day. And we just had to bring that to you because that was a very important update, breaking news out there, and see what you think. And we'll see where this story goes from the Miami Herald and all the rest. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, for Paul, I'm John. Once again, we're not alleging anything. It's our personal opinion. We're not casting any aspersions. We're reacting to a news report and giving our personal opinion to public figures and stuff like that. So, all right. Have a great day out there. For Paul, I'm John. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.